ever feel like you're just drowning in information these days, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Like we're bombarded constantly with all this news and facts and opinions and everything.
Right.
But how much of it really leads to any real understanding? So today we're going to take a deep dive into something a little bit different. The power of unknowing. We'll be exploring excerpts from philosopher David Christopher Lane's book on being unknowing.
Okay.
And this book just dives into some surprising limitations of human understanding across all sorts of fields, math, physics, even evolution.
It's a really fascinating exploration. You know how we try to understand the universe?
Yeah.
It's limited by the tools we use.
I see.
Whether those tools are, mathematical theorems or scientific instruments.
Yeah.
Or even our own brains.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
The book kicks off with a really thought-provoking analogy, comparing maps to the territories they represent.
Right. Lane's point is that a perfect map would have to be as detailed and vast as the territory itself. And that would make it useless.
It would. That's a great point.
Yeah, it's a powerful way to illustrate the limitations inherent in any model, any system. Any attempt to really encapsulate reality.
So knowledge is like a map. Mm-hmm. It's helpful for navigating, but it's never a complete picture of the territory.
Exactly.
Okay. So that makes me think about all the different subjects that we study, are they all just limited maps of reality, physics, biology?
That's right. Yeah. Psychology. They're all frameworks.
Yeah.
That we use to make sense of the world. Mm-hmm. But they're not reality itself.
Right.
It's not that knowledge is worthless.
Right.
But recognizing its boundaries is crucial. It's about knowing what we don't know.
It's almost like exploring like a vast uncharted wilderness.
Yeah.
You need a map to kind of guide you, but you need to be aware that there are areas beyond the edges of that map.
Exactly. Yeah. And acknowledging that is the first step towards a deeper understanding.
Yeah. Okay. So the book delves into some specific examples of these limitations.
Yeah.
Starting with Kurt Gödel, a mathematician who really shook things up.
Yeah.
I have to admit, math has always felt like a pretty solid, certain kind of knowledge.
That's a common perception.
Yeah.
But Gödel's incompleteness theorems really challenge that notion.
Yeah.
Even within a perfectly logical system.
Okay.
Like mathematics. There will always be true statements that cannot be proven within that system.
So even in math, a field that we often associate with like absolute truth, there are limits to what we can definitively prove.
That's right.
That's pretty mind-blowing. Does that mean that we should just give up on seeking knowledge altogether?
Not at all. Gödel's theorems don't invalidate knowledge. They simply highlight its inherent boundaries.
Right.
They encourage us to be humble in our pursuit of understanding.
Yeah.
Recognizing that there will always be gaps, truths that remain elusive.
Almost like a cosmic game of hide and seek.
Yeah, that's a beautiful way to put it.
With the universe teasing us with these glimpses of the truth, but ultimately withholding complete certainty.
Right, and that sense of mystery is something that permeates many fields, including physics.
Yeah, okay.
Think about the debates surrounding Heisenberg's uncertainty principle.
Okay.
Which states that we can't know both the position and momentum of a particle with perfect accuracy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's right. And that wasn't just a limitation of our instruments. It was a fundamental principle of reality.
Yes.
And didn't that drive Einstein crazy?
He did. He believed in a universe governed by deterministic laws, not chance. And this uncertainty at the heart of physics deeply bothered him.
Yeah, he famously said, God does not play dice. Right?
He did, yeah. It challenged the very notion of a predictable, orderly universe.
So even physics, a science that we tend to think of as objective and precise, has to grapple with this inherent fuzziness at its core.
Exactly. It forced a shift in perspective.
Yeah.
Acknowledging that randomness and probability are fundamental aspects of reality.
Right, okay.
At least at the subatomic level.
So this idea of limits, of the boundaries of what we can know, this keeps popping up.
It does.
Is that a central theme running through the book?
Absolutely. And Lane argues that this concept of unknowing isn't something to be feared but embraced.
Okay.
It's about acknowledging the vastness of what we don't know and approaching the world with a sense of wonder and curiosity.
Okay, so that's intriguing. But how does this apply to our own evolution?
That's a great question.
Did we evolve to understand the universe as it truly is?
And it leads us to another fascinating point Lane makes.
Okay.
He reminds us that we, as humans,
Yeah.
are products of an evolutionary process
Right.
that prioritize survival, not necessarily the ability to comprehend the universe in its entirety.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Right.
We evolved to, find food, avoid predators, and reproduce.
Right.
Not to, ponder the mysteries of the cosmos.
Right. And this has implications for how we perceive reality. Our hardware, meaning our brains and bodies,
Yeah.
have limitations shaped by the need to survive,
Yeah, okay.
not to understand the universe in its most fundamental form.
To illustrate this, he uses a rather delightful thought experiment.
Oh, yeah.
He asks us to imagine a group of squirrels
Yeah.
discussing the universe.
He asks us to consider, would their understanding of the universe be limited by their squirrelness?
Hmm.
Would their perception be shaped by their needs? Like to find nuts, avoid predators, navigate their arboreal world.
Right. And I guess the answer is probably yes, right?
Probably.
Their perspective would be limited by their squirrel nature, but how does this relate back to us?
The point is, we, like the squirrels, are bound by our own humanness. What we perceive as reality might be more a reflection of our limitations than of reality itself. Our senses, our brains, our very way of thinking shapes the world we experience.
So we're like the squirrels, just with more complex brains
Precisely.
and a wider range of concerns.
Yes. And this leads to a key takeaway from this section.
Okay.
We have a tendency to confuse our internal experiences, our neurology, with the true nature of being, what philosophers call ontology.
Okay, I think I'm getting a bit lost here.
Are
Can
you?
you break that down?
Sure. We tend to think that what we experience
Yeah.
is a direct reflection of reality. But our brains are constantly filtering and interpreting information.
Right.
We have limited working memory. We make assumptions based on past experiences.
Yeah.
We have biases we're not even aware of.
So what we perceive as reality is actually a highly processed,
That's the idea.
filtered version of something much larger and more complex.
That's the idea, and this raises a fascinating question.
Yeah.
What aspects of reality are we simply not equipped to grasp? I see. Because of the limitations of our hardware. What lies beyond the edges of our perceptual map?
That is a fascinating question.
Right.
Makes you wonder what we might be missing.
Yeah.
What mysteries lie beyond our current capacity
Mm-hmm.
to comprehend?
And this is where the concept of wise ignorance comes in.
Okay.
Lane explores the insights of thinkers like Socrates, Nicholas of Cusa, and Lao Tzu,
Right.
all of whom emphasize the importance of acknowledging the limits of our knowledge.
I've always loved that Socrates quote, "The only true wisdom is in knowing you know nothing."
Yes,
It seems paradoxical,
it does.
but there's a deep truth in it.
There is. And Nicholas of Cusa, in his book On Learned Ignorance, uses this brilliant analogy of a polygon trying to become a circle.
Okay.
No matter how many sides you add to the polygon, it can never fully become a circle.
Right?
It's a visual representation of how the finite can never fully grasp the infinite.
Yeah.
Right.
I love that analogy. It
Yeah.
really drives home the point that...
There will always be a gap
Yeah.
between our understanding
Uh-huh.
and the vastness of reality.
Yeah.
What about Lao Tzu? What insights did he offer?
Lao Tzu emphasized the importance of quieting the mind. To encounter the Tao,
Okay.
which can be translated as the way,
Okay.
he famously said, "Those who know don't talk. Those who talk don't know."
So it's not just about accumulating knowledge.
Right.
It's about cultivating a certain kind of awareness,
Yeah.
a receptivity to what lies beyond
Precisely.
the realm of words and concepts.
Yeah. And Lane doesn't stop at these philosophical explorations. He offers some really striking examples to illustrate just how much we don't know,
Yeah.
how much lies beyond our current understanding.
Yeah, I'm always fascinated by those kinds of examples.
Uh-huh.
They really help to shake up our assumptions
Yeah.
about what we think we know.
Yeah.
What are some of the ones that stood out to you?
One that really struck me was the fact that we only perceive a tiny fraction of the electromagnetic spectrum, less than 0.0035%. So all those cosmic rays, gamma rays, radio waves,
Right.
we're essentially blind to most of that.
Exactly. We're walking around in a world full of invisible light and energy, only able to perceive a sliver of what's actually there. It really highlights how much our perception of reality is shaped by our biological limitations.
Yeah. It's both humbling and exhilarating at the same time, isn't it?
Yeah.
Humbling because it shows how much we don't know, but also exciting because it hints at the vastness of what's still out there to be discovered.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And speaking of the vastness of what we don't know, Lane also brings up the human library.
Yeah.
All the books ever written throughout history,
Right.
even if we were the most dedicated readers imaginable,
Yeah.
we only encounter a tiny percentage of the knowledge
Yeah.
contained within those pages.
It really puts things in perspective, doesn't it? Sometimes I get overwhelmed just thinking about all the books I want to read.
Yeah.
But this takes it to a whole new level.
It's true. It makes you realize that even within a field as familiar as literature, there are vast, unexplored territories, countless perspectives and stories we may never encounter.
That actually connects to something you mentioned earlier
Yeah.
about confusing our internal experience with the true nature of reality. It's like our brains are constantly creating stories,
Yeah.
narratives, and interpretations
Yes.
based on the limited information they have access to.
That's a great point. It's as if we're each living in our own little bubble of perception,
Right.
shaped by our experiences, memories, and biases.
Yeah.
And those bubbles, while they may overlap, never fully encompass the totality of what is.
Which brings us back to that analogy of the map and the territory.
Yes.
Our individual maps can be helpful,
Right.
but they can also limit us if we mistake them for the whole terrain.
Exactly. It's the difference between knowing the name of something and truly understanding it.
Which reminds me of another great example Lane uses.
Okay.
Richard Feynman's bird lesson.
Yes. Feynman's father taught him that knowing the name of a bird
Right.
didn't mean you actually knew anything about the bird itself.
Yeah.
Its behavior, its habits, its place in the ecosystem.
Right.
It's a powerful reminder that labels and categories can be misleading. Real understanding comes from direct observation, from engaging with the world in all its complexity.
Yeah. It's so easy to get caught up in abstractions,
Right.
in the labels we use to categorize the world,
Uh-huh.
that we forget to actually look closely at what's right in front of us.
And that's a big part of what On Being Unknowing is about. Cultivating a sense of curiosity, of open-mindedness, of humility in the face of the vast unknown.
Lane doesn't shy away from those big existential questions either.
No, he doesn't.
He talks about the mystical dimension,
Right.
that realm of ultimate mystery that lies at the heart of existence.
He explores the ideas of figures like Charles Darwin,
Yeah.
who acknowledged the limits of scientific understanding, saying, "The mystery of the beginning of all things is insoluble by us, and I, for one, must be content to remain an agnostic."
It's interesting to see how even someone like Darwin, who revolutionized our understanding of life, recognized that there were still profound mysteries beyond our grasp.
Absolutely. And Lane also quotes the Indian mystic Baba Fakir Chand,
Okay.
who describes the human being as a small germ in the vastness of creation.
It's a humbling perspective,
It is.
reminding us of our place within the grand scheme of things.
It is.
These ideas definitely make you feel small in a cosmic sense, but there's also a strange kind of liberation in that. Isn't there
Right.
a release from the pressure of having to figure it all out?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Lane argues that true spiritual practice isn't about gaining more knowledge, but about reconciling ourselves with this fundamental mystery, accepting that there are some things we may never fully comprehend.
It's about shifting from a need for certainty to an embrace of the unknown,
Right.
which actually connects beautifully with that analogy of the ocean and the bubble that he uses.
Such a powerful image. The ocean represents the totality of reality,
Right.
that vast, unknowable source of everything.
Yeah.
And the bubble.
Yes.
That's us, our limited selves, or any individual thing.
So we're like these little bubbles.
Yeah.
Floating on this immense ocean of being, each bubble unique, yet ultimately inseparable from the ocean itself.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And Lane suggests that the bubble has two choices.
Okay.
It can try to exist independently,
Uh-huh.
clinging to the illusion of separateness,
Right.
or it can surrender to the ocean,
Right.
recognizing its interconnectedness with the whole.
Yeah. It's like choosing between clinging to a limited, isolated perspective
Yeah.
or embracing a more expansive, interconnected view of reality. And that choice has implications for how we live our lives,
Absolutely.
how we relate to the world,
Mm.
and how we approach the big questions about our existence.
Absolutely. And Lane brings us back to those fundamental questions in the book's powerful ending.
Yeah.
Where are we? What is this? Who are we?
Wow. Those are questions that have echoed through philosophy and spirituality for centuries.
And the truth is, we don't have definitive answers.
Yep.
We don't know what a single thing ultimately is.
Right.
We don't know where we are in the grand scheme of the universe.
Yeah.
And we don't even know who or what is truly living us.
It's almost like a koan,
It is.
Those paradoxical riddles used in Zen Buddhism to provoke deeper reflection.
Yeah, Lane's not offering easy answers,
Yeah.
but rather an invitation to contemplate the mystery, to sit with the unknown and allow it to open us up to new ways of seeing and being.
So after exploring all these ideas about unknowing,
Yeah.
where does that leave us? What are the key takeaways you hope listeners will walk away with?
For me, it's about recognizing that embracing the unknown isn't about giving up on the pursuit of knowledge.
Right.
It's about approaching that pursuit with a sense of humility, curiosity,
Yeah.
and a willingness to be surprised.
Yeah, it's like we're explorers setting out into a vast, uncharted territory.
Exactly.
We may have a compass and a few landmarks to guide us,
Yeah.
but ultimately we're venturing into the unknown.
Yes.
And that's where the real adventure,
Right.
the real discovery takes place.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And just as an explorer wouldn't set out on an expedition expecting to have all the answers in advance,
Right.
we shouldn't approach the pursuit of knowledge with a rigid,
Yeah.
closed mind.
Mm-hmm.
We need to be open to new possibilities,
Right.
to unexpected turns,
Yeah.
to the possibility that what we discover might challenge our existing beliefs.
That can be a bit unsettling, can it?
They can.
Letting go of the need for certainty,
Mm.
embracing the possibility of being wrong.
Yeah.
But it's also incredibly liberating.
It is. It allows us to approach the world with a sense of wonder,
Yeah.
like children discovering something for the first time.
Right.
Remember that feeling of awe, of boundless curiosity?
Yeah.
That's the spirit I think Lane is encouraging us to cultivate.
It's about reclaiming that childlike sense of wonder, that openness to the mystery of it all. And maybe, just maybe that's the key to unlocking deeper levels of understanding.
I think so.
Not just about the world around us,
Right.
but about ourselves as well.
Beautifully said.
Yeah.
And for our listeners out there, what stands out to you from this exploration of unknowing?
Yeah.
What sparks your curiosity?
Yeah.
What areas of your own map are you inspired to explore further?
Maybe it's something we discussed today, like those mind-bending incompleteness theorems,
Right.
or that humbling realization that we only see a tiny sliver of the electromagnetic spectrum.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's something entirely different, something that's been tugging at the edges of your awareness, whispering of the mysteries that lie just beyond your current understanding.
Whatever it is, embrace that curiosity. Follow those whispers.
Yeah.
Allow yourself to be drawn into the vast and fascinating realm of the unknown.
Because as we've discovered in this deep dive, the unknown isn't something to be feared.
No, it's not.
It's an invitation to explore, to discover, to expand the boundaries of our understanding and our experience.
It's a reminder that the journey of discovery is never ending.
Yeah.
And perhaps the greatest discovery of all is realizing that we are and always will be students of the unknown.
So keep asking those big questions. Keep exploring the edges of your map. Keep embracing the mystery.